Okay, we're going to finish the bottom here, these problems. So remember, things become more difficult when a is greater than 1. So in that, remember, that's a, b, and c. So if a is greater than 1, things get a little more difficult. So we're going to have to do some dividing by a after we move the constant side. Well, let me just show you here. So let's just assume that this is not the right number. Now, if this happens to be the right number and you move it over, it's fine. You'll be okay. You'll get the right answer still. So let's just assume this is not the right number and bring it over. So first off, we got 3x squared minus 12x equals negative 6. Okay, now I want a to be 1, so I'm going to take a 3 out of both of these. Okay, in this case, they're both divisible by 3, so it works out nice. I take a 3 out. I got x squared minus 4x. I'm going to leave that space in there still. Okay, so far I moved the 6 over and I factored a 3 out. Now just in here, what number do I want that to be? What do I want to add there? Okay, so half of negative 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4, so I'm going to put a 4 in there. So I added 4. Now look at this. On this whole side here, did I really just add 4? Remember, everything inside parentheses is actually being multiplied by 3. So this x squared is actually 3x squared. This negative 4x is actually negative 12, which means that positive 4 is actually 12 because it's being multiplied by 3. So I really just added 12 to this side of the equation. So if I add 12 to this side, I have to add 12 to this side also to make it fair. Okay, so I got 3, and since this is my perfect square trinomial I was looking for, I made it that way. Let's write it as a binomial squared. So again, half of that number. So it's going to look like this. Now, solve it like you did when we did square roots. Don't square root yet because I've got a 3 out front. This is what's being squared. Okay, so divide 3 from both sides, or by both sides. Divide both sides by 3. X minus 2 squared equals 2. Now square root. So that means that x minus 2 is going to equal either the positive root of 2, so I'll just say radical 2, or x minus 2 equals the negative root of 2. Okay, on both of these, bring the 2 over, so x equals 2 plus radical 2. It also equals 2 minus radical 2. Okay, over here. First step would be to make sure everything's on one side. We're going to set it equal to 0 like this. So my first step is not even standard form yet, so I got some work to do. So I'm going to subtract x over and then subtract 9. So 2x squared minus 2x minus 6 equals 0. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that this is not the number I want. So I'm going to bring it this way. So 2x squared minus 2x equals 6. Look for what you can take out of this because I want that to be a 1. So actually I should say I'm just going to divide by this number always. Whatever this a is, that's what I want to divide by. So I'm going to take a 2 out front. That way this is a 1x squared. That means this would be a minus x. Leave a space. Equals 6. And then what do I want this number to be? Okay, so this is a negative 1. Half of that is negative 1/2. Square that. That's going to be a positive 1/4. Okay, but did I really just add 1/4 to that side? No, I have twice that much because whatever I put inside is actually worth twice that much. So 1/4 times 2 is 2/4, or a half, so I need to add a half to this side. Okay, so now we're getting fractions involved, but we can still do it. This would be x minus, remember, it's always half of this, so 1/2. And you could write this, we could say 6.5. Maybe I'll make it an improper fraction. So 6.5 would be 13/2. Okay, so 6.5 is 13/2. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. When I divide a fraction by 2, so if I wrote divided by 2 over 1, can't divide by fractions, you got to multiply by the reciprocal, so I'm actually going to multiply by 1/2. So this would be 13/4. Okay. Now square root. So x minus 1/2 is going to equal Now, if I want to simplify this, this is you're supposed to square root the top and square root the bottom. So square root the top would be 13, square root the bottom is 2. Remember, this is the positive and negative root. So this equals radical 13 over 2, or x minus 1/2 equals negative radical 13 over 2. I'm going to write up here, bring this around here. So this guy right here, if I bring the 1/2 over, it would be 1/2 plus radical 13 over 2, or bring the 1/2 over, positive 1/2 minus radical 13 over 2. Okay. Number 7. Let's see here. Since we kind of always assume that the constant's wrong, let's leave the constant on the right side. So I'll have 2x squared plus 12x equals negative 74. I'm going to divide by a, so I'm going to take a 2 out front. That way this is x squared. But I also have to divide to 12, so it'd be 6x. Leave a space. Okay, now I'm going to put the number in here that I want. So half of 6 is 9. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. But remember, everything in here is actually worth twice as much because of 2. So when I add 9, I'm actually adding 18. So I got to add 18 to both sides. This number is always half of that. So x plus 3. On the right side, I got negative 74 plus 18. So that's negative 56. Divide both sides by 2. I got x plus 3 squared, and that'd be what? Negative 28. Now square root. So x plus 3, okay, that's going to equal, I'll put, so positive or negative root. There's going to be an I involved because this is negative, so I. And now 28, I want to simplify. So let's see, 4 and 7, 2 and 2. So I see a pair of 2's. So I can pull a 2 out front. So it'll be 2, 7. And then bring the 3 over on these guys. So x is going to equal negative 3, because I bring the 3 over, it'd be negative 3 plus 2i radical 7. Or x is going to equal, bring that 3 over, negative 3 minus 2i radical 7. Okay? And then the last guy here. So we're just going to assume that 4 was wrong in the first place, leave it as it is. Hey, that number, that's a 1. That's good. That's one of the easier kinds here. So I've got x squared plus 7x. And now, instead of dividing by a is 1, so I can leave it alone. Let's just find what this number is. So half of 7 would be 7 halves. So I might just write it like this. So 7 halves squared. Well, 7 halves squared is 49 fourths. So I'm going to write it as 49 fourths on this side. I'll leave it as 7 halves squared over here. That means this would be 7 halves, because always half of 7 is what's here. If I want to add this guy, 4 would be the same thing as 16 fourths. So 16 fourths plus 49 fourths would be 64 fourths when I add those together. No, 65 fourths. 64 seems like too nice of a number. And now square root. So x plus 7 halves is going to equal plus minus radical 65 over 2. So I'm going to write 2 of these. So I would have, in fact, I could just bring the 7 halves over and leave this plus minus. So this would be negative 7 halves plus minus radical 65 over 2.